Hello and welcome to Missouri Southern, and welcome to our virtual alumni event today. We're very pleased to have you with us virtually this afternoon. My name is Kevin Grime. I serve at Missouri Southern as Associate Vice President for Development. We're excited today to offer our alums a chance to hear from our new president, Dr. Dean Van Galen. He is the 6th president in Missouri Southern State University's history, and we'll hear from him in just a moment. The format today is we will hear some opening comments from Dr. Van Galen, and then we will go through a little Q&A session. We've taken some questions from our alums who have sent questions in ahead of time. We also are accepting questions live today that we will hope to get to, and then we also have some questions that we thought you might like to hear the answers to. And we'll sprinkle those in as we go along. Before we get started, I do want to read a brief bio here on Dr. Van Galen, who became president at Missouri Southern on May 19th. He assumed the office of president on July the 1st. And prior to coming to Missouri Southern, Van Galen served as chancellor of the University of Wisconsin at River Falls for 11 years. Milestones during his tenure as chancellor included successful completion of the Pathway to Distinction strategic plan, which resulted in the launch of high-demand academic programs, increased high-impact practices for students, including undergraduate research and study abroad, successful completion of the university's first comprehensive fundraising campaign, and over $60 million in state investment in new academic facilities. He is a Wisconsin native. He's a 1982 alumnus of the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Both Van Galen and his wife, Mary, like many MSSU students, are first-generation college students. Van Galen earned a PhD in analytical chemistry at Kansas State and conducted postdoctoral chemistry research at the University of Cal, Berkeley. He began his academic career in 1987 as a chemistry professor at Truman State University in Kirksville. As a faculty member, he was named the university's 1988-89 Educator of the Year and the state of Missouri's Case Professor of the Year for 1991. He later served as Vice President for University Advancement at Truman and was an American Council on Education Fellow in the 1994-95 academic year. From 2003 to 2009, Van Galen served as Vice President for Development and University Advancement at the University of West Florida in Pensacola, where he planned and implemented a $39 million fundraising campaign. He brings to Missouri Southern significant academic and leadership experience, particularly in fundraising and governmental relations, as well as a philosophy that student learning and success must be at the heart of the university's mission. And at this time, we welcome in Dr. Van Galen. Was all that fairly accurate?
It was a bit much, but I suppose it was accurate.
Okay.
Kevin, it's great to be with you today, and I really want to thank all the alumni, the graduates of Missouri Southern who've tuned in as part of this virtual meeting. It would be much better, of course, if we could all be in a room together, but that's not possible today. But I really want to express my gratitude for alumni taking the time today to visit virtually a little bit. I'm just simply delighted to serve as Missouri Southern's 6th president. I've been here 3 weeks. It's already been a wonderful experience, and I'm very anxious to continue to learn more about the university and meet many, many of the alumni, not only in the Joplin and Four States area, but around the country and really around the world. So great to be here, and I'm very happy to try to address the questions from our alumni.
Tell us, first of all, about your first few weeks here on campus. You've been busy. You've met local legislators. You've met superintendents. Of course, you met a lot of faculty and staff along the way. Tell us about your first few weeks.
Yeah, it's really been a great start to time here at Missouri Southern. The first day I enjoyed a welcome from our faculty and staff, really a nice way to begin, because the faculty and staff are just critical to the university's success. Had a chance to visit with local CEOs and business leaders. That started to give me a sense of how much they value the university in their own companies and businesses, how they look to the university for talent. Also, I've been on a number of hometown tours with students. That has been great. So I've spent time in Carthage and Carl Junction, and I'm going to later Webb City, Miami, Neosho, all sorts of places. And that's been great to spend time with students, hearing their stories, and learning a bit about some of the communities from which many of our students come from and call home. And then a lot of external events as well, meeting with legislators. That was, I think, a very important and productive first meeting with the legislative delegation from this part of the state. And then, of course, working through a lot of the challenges with COVID-19 and budget. But it's been a wonderful welcome to Missouri Southern. Both Mary and I are excited to be here.
What drew you to this position in this university? Why were you interested in being the president at MSSU?
Yeah, I've known of Missouri Southern and its mission and the strength of the university and this region for decades. As you mentioned earlier, I was at Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri for 16 years as a faculty member, and then moved into the role of vice president for advancement. And even then, I knew Missouri Southern had a unique place in Missouri. The international theme that was developing at that time, I really thought set the university apart. And I've followed Missouri Southern for many years. The other part that I found attractive is the location. And it's not just getting away from 84 inches of snow in Wisconsin in the winter, but really this region, Joplin, this part of the state, has been a growing and dynamic region of Missouri and the country for many years. And I've always viewed it as a great place to live, work, for students to study. We have another kind of bit of interesting history here. Dr. Larry McIntyre, who's a local physician, had a connection to Kirksville and the osteopathic medical school there, and so we brought our daughter here when she was less than 1 year old to have tubes put in her ears because Dr. McIntyre was so renowned for being a great physician. So we've been to Joplin in the past, but there are a lot of things that really attracted us here, and we're just thrilled that it worked out.
We're talking today with Missouri Southern President Dr. Dean Van Galen. If any of our alums have questions today, we would welcome those questions. You can comment as you're watching on Zoom. Just put your question in the comment section and we will try to get to those as we go along. You have taken the reins at this university during a challenging time with COVID-19, with budget reductions looming. Without necessarily getting into specifics on that, what do you think is important about leading through challenging times, just in general?
Well, it is a challenging time, a time that I think every university and all of us, our society, is struggling with. But I think in addressing those challenges, there are a few elements that are very important. One is to try to communicate well and to engage people. You know, it's a time of uncertainty, but I think especially for our faculty and staff on campus, it's critical that they understand fully the challenges that we face, including our budgetary challenges, and that we work together to hear their ideas and to face those challenges together head on. I think more than any time, it is a time where a campus community, including alumni, need to come together and work together. I also think that in making decisions, you know, we have to use a framework of what's important. And to me, the success of our students is at the core of our mission. So as we work through these challenges, as we provide our students with opportunities for face-to-face instruction in the fall in a healthy and safe environment, I think that needs to be a lens through which we look. And then finally, I would say, as we make decisions during these very difficult times, we need to make some short-term decisions, but also we need to look at the long term. What are the impacts on the university, not just in a month or 6 months or a year, but to have that longer-term view. We want Missouri Southern State University to be an even better university 3 and 5 years from now. And we also always need to think about how do the decisions we make today influence that future.
You talked about student success. You mentioned student success. This is a question from one of our alums. What are some fundamentals that need to be in place at a university to ensure student success?
Well, certainly a outstanding faculty and staff is a huge part of that. Education is a people endeavor, a people business, if you will. And so we want to hire, recruit, retain an outstanding faculty staff. That's certainly part of it. Also, I think we need to provide students with an affordable education of high quality. And so when I think about high quality, obviously that means great instruction in the classroom, but also it means engaging experiences for students beyond the classroom. Everything from athletics to undergraduate research experiences, to study abroad, to extracurricular activities. And we want to develop here a really well-rounded, outstanding student experience. I think another element I've heard already from students I've talked to, why did they choose Missouri Southern? And I think many of our alumni probably would have this perspective. It's a place that relationships are important, that students experience faculty and staff as role models, as mentors, who have really changed their lives. And I think that's part of what's special about a Missouri Southern. And so whatever I can do and we can do in leadership roles to foster that environment, to support our students, that's critically important.
You mentioned a well-rounded student experience. So I think we've seen and experienced over the past few years maybe an increased scrutiny or increased emphasis from outside of higher education on workforce development, and that's understandable. I think we're seeing some people questioning the value of that well-rounded liberal arts education and focusing more on just producing workforce-ready graduates. So where is that? That's a tough one. Where is that balance, and how do you find that balance?
So I think that's a great question, and one I really thought about a great deal. And we get into this situation of, what is the purpose of education and higher education? And as you suggest, on one hand, some put a heavy emphasis on workforce and getting a job. Can a student get that first job? That's important. At the same time, we want educated citizens who are well-rounded. Even if you talk to business leaders, they want to hire graduates, Missouri Southern alumni, who are able to think critically, communicate well, work well in teams, work with others different from themselves. And a lot of these skills and attributes are developed as part of a liberal arts education. There's great value in taking that history course or music course because through that you gain new perspectives. So my reaction is it is really both. We do want to prepare students for productive careers. We do want to be responsive to workforce needs, and a phrase that I like, development of talent. Education is in part developing talent for citizenship, but also for tomorrow's workforce. And we need to think down the road of what are those skills that are needed by our graduates, not just this year, but years down the road. So I think it's both, and a university has to balance that and communicate that externally as well. We are a long-term endeavor, if you will, that changes the lives of students. Yes, we want them to get that first job, but what we do here is much more than that.
Your answer kind of dovetails perfectly into another question that we got earlier in the week from one of our alums. So how do you identify and develop adaptive programs to better prepare our students for changing jobs and changing industries?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it begins with listening, including listening to regional businesses, CEOs, HR directors. The first day I was here, we had that conversation with a group of CEOs, and I asked them, what are their impressions of Missouri Southern, and then as you look down the road, what are some of the needs and ways that the university can be responsive? So I think as a university, sometimes it's easy not to get that external perspective, but it's really important to do that. Over time, I want Missouri Southern to be known as an extraordinarily responsive institution that provides high-quality graduates and also, is responsive to future talent needs in the workforce, especially in the region. So I think that's an important part of it, and over time, I do believe a university has to evolve. They have to look at its academic offerings, develop new ones that are forward-leaning and future-oriented. I'm, again, excited about learning more about this region, hearing from alumni, hearing from business leaders, and having that commitment to be responsive and agile as a university.
We're talking with Missouri Southern President Dr. Dean Van Galen. Let's shift our focus a little bit to alums and to the alumni base. You have an advancement background, and so you have seen the value of having, value to an institution of having an active and engaged alumni base before.
Yes, and again, I'm so excited to meet many of our alumni. We've scheduled a few alumni events. It's difficult during this time, but alumni are the university's strongest advocates, supporters. They have had the Missouri Southern experience, and I think it's critical that they support the university in many ways. Recruitment of students. Many alumni, they'll have neighbors or others who they can talk to about Missouri Southern. Philanthropic support certainly is critical to the university, especially as our relative support from the state dwindles over time, and we try to maintain affordability as an institution. But I'm really excited to get to know more of our alumni and do what I can to work with others to really mobilize the alumni of Missouri Southern for advocacy, for support, and then also to ask what can today's university do to support you. We have career services, we have other venues in which we can maintain that relationship and connection. So I also want to listen to our alumni.
We do get questions from alums as we go around and go to our various alumni events, and a lot of times they say, what can we do? What can we do to help? And we talk a lot about advocate, nominate, donate. So advocate, get students here. If you know somebody who's looking for examining their higher ed choices, have them give us a look. Nominate someone for one of our alumni awards. Donate, make a gift in support of a favorite area or an area of passion. What else springs to mind that alums can do?
Yeah, I think advocacy has many forms, and part of it is to make prospective students aware of the opportunities here at Missouri Southern. I also think to advocate with legislators, with community leaders, to share that story, to share your experiences that you had here at Missouri Southern, the way that it has impacted your life. It's interesting. I'll certainly be spending some time in Jefferson City representing the university, advocating, helping legislators understand the impact of this university. And I suppose in a way they expect that. But when they hear from alumni, when they hear from business leaders, community leaders, that makes a big difference. So I would encourage you, if you're one of our graduates, you have the opportunity to put in a good word with elected officials. That makes a big difference.
We've had some questions come in from our alumni who are watching today. So I'll jump right into one of these. Dr. Van Galen, welcome to Missouri Southern. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be part of this dialogue. There's divisiveness in the world. There are challenges for equality. Corporations and government are looking to level the playing field on equality. How do you see a university play a role in that? And specifically, how do you see MSSU taking a leadership role in that, especially given our history as having an inclusive model with our international mission?
Yeah, I think that's always been important, but never more important than today. One of the university's values is inclusion and diversity. And I think this campus has always and must continue to be a place that is accessible, affordable, including for international students. But I also think there's always more work to do in building bridges and understanding on the campus between different faculty, staff, students from different backgrounds, different perspectives. A university must be a place where civil conversations, learning can be held in a way that people are really open to. So I want to work with the campus to promote that type of environment. Certainly we want to value free speech. We want to value various ideas in this campus, but we want to do it in a way that is civil and builds understanding. You know, we have a large population of first-generation students. About 26% of our students are students of color. I'm told last fall there were about 300 international students. What opportunity there is when you bring all those people from different backgrounds and perspectives together. And you know, I'm interested in getting some ideas from others too, and how best to do that. You know, I think this university needs to have graduates who have understanding of those different perspectives and experiences. You know, I can tell you, I grew up in a small town that was, I guess, say, very homogeneous. Mm-hmm. And over time, through education, I had the opportunity to get to know and build friendships with people of very different backgrounds. And I know that has really helped me have some new perspectives. And those are the types of things I want our students to have as well.
You mentioned earlier in your bio, you're a first-generation college student. What did that mean to you to graduate college?
Yeah, it was very special. And you know, I did grow up in a small town. Both of my parents worked in factories. Neither graduated from high school. So college was very new to me, like many of our students. It's challenging because, for example, Missouri Southern students, many of them don't know how to kind of navigate, right? How to get through financial aid, how to register, how do you interact with faculty, how do you manage your time when you might only be in class for 3 hours a day. And so looking back, you know, I had some wonderful mentors. I appreciate the support of my parents who didn't really understand what I was doing as I was bringing physics books home on a Friday night, but they supported me, and so I was fortunate. So a place like Missouri Southern is a good fit for me, not only academically and professionally, but personally. And part of that draws back to I'm really excited always to spend time with students and learn more about their stories.
Another couple questions from alums that have come in today. How do universities, specifically Missouri Southern, change to meet the needs of folks who can't go to class from 8 a.m. to noon? How do we offer more opportunities for non-traditional students or working folks right now who want to further their education?
Yeah, I want to learn more about what Missouri Southern is doing and what the opportunities are. I think it is a great and important question. Missouri Southern, you know, today is in many ways a fairly traditional university serving a pretty significant number of freshman students or transfer students. And I think that will continue. You know, that on-campus experience is truly wonderful. However, there are many adult learners, many of who are working, who could benefit from further education. That could be completing a college degree. It could be some type of credential or some type of learning experience. So I really do want us to explore what could that look like. Part of it is listening to the community. You know, and doing a bit of research about this region in Jasper County, I believe there's well over 10,000 people, Jasper and Newton, over 10,000 people who've had some college but do not have a college degree. So we kind of forget about that. There's a large population that could benefit from Missouri Southern maybe providing those opportunities in a different way. I think it's part of the future of higher education, really. It goes back to this idea of lifelong learning, right? Your education does not end when you're 22 years old, whether you have a college degree or not. People must evolve their skills, they must change, retool, continue to learn, and I think Missouri Southern needs to be part of that.
Had a alum bring up possible future master's degrees. I know right now we offer accounting, education, and a master's degree in management. I want to be careful. You haven't been on the job 2 weeks, so you're not going to announce any new master's programs today, but the importance of adding those perhaps down the line and that continuing it.
Yes, and during the interview process, that is a theme that I heard about, that there might be more opportunities at the graduate program level. So to me, I think there's an opportunity to step back, look at the undergraduate programs we currently offer. What are some future opportunities? Enrollment is certainly critical. What about the graduate level? What about online learning? What about serving non-traditional learners, adult learners, both online and face-to-face? If you look at this region, not only of the state, but the 4 states region, there are many people who probably do not have the opportunity to come to campus. They might be working. They might want to pursue a graduate program or a credential. How do we better serve those individuals? So yes, it would be unwise for me to announce master's programs today for a lot of reasons. But I do think it is an area of opportunity that I've heard about and we will be looking at.
Visiting today with Missouri Southern President Dr. Dean Van Galen. You mentioned earlier listening to the community relationships, so kind of in that town and gown theme. How is it important, obviously it is important, for a university to be ingrained in a community, and maybe you've seen some examples, both good and bad, over the years?
Yeah, my initial learning about Missouri Southern is there is a very good and important relationship between the university and the community. And by community, I mean not only Joplin, but really the region. I've learned already that the community really values the university being involved, whether it be on chamber boards, in the business community, volunteer opportunities for faculty, staff, and students. And also it's important that the community feel welcome on our campus. We are a public university, and part of that is, I guess I'd refer to a Missouri Southern as the people's university. They belong to the people, to the citizens of the state, of the region, and that's a special responsibility for the university to build those bridges. I think the international themed semesters have been an interesting example of bringing people to the campus for learning opportunities. Certainly Lion Athletics are a very important bridge to the community and the university. And so that is a relationship that I believe has grown strong or stronger in recent years. And I want to continue to build on that. It's really critically important to who we are at Missouri Southern.
First of all, a comment from an alum, and then I think a follow-up question possibly from the same alum. So as an alum, son of an alum, spouse of an alum, and father of an alum, we like those type of people.
That's great.
I currently support the advocacy element as a local business leader. I have been looking for more ways to be involved with the university. Would appreciate perspectives on how to be further involved. Are there more ways to get involved on campus other than just monetary? So what are some ways that you've seen alums get involved in a college campus outside of making a donation?
Yeah, some things that I think this individual could look at. Certainly we have boards and advisory groups. And so obviously we have the Board of Governors, the Foundation Board, Alumni Board, but also some of the colleges and programs have advisory groups. So it's important, for example, if the College of Business were to be thinking about its curriculum, its preparation of graduates, for them to hear from and listen to people in that field. So, that's one form of, I think, those opportunities. Also, mentorship programs for students. So we have, as I mentioned, a large number of international students. I'm guessing we have some type of international friend program where alumni or people in the community can make a connection and support an international student. So those are some simple examples, but I'll certainly learn more. And so please do reach out, though. Send me an email, send someone in alumni relations an email, and raise your hand, and let us know you'd like to be involved, and we'll look for a way to do that.
You talked about athletics playing a role in bridging a gap between a university and a community. What other roles does an athletics department play or should play at a university, specifically a Division II school like Missouri Southern?
Yeah, I really view athletics as one of the front doors of the university, if you will. For some people in the community, for many, athletics is their introduction to campus. And so I think it's important, areas such as the arts also fall into that category for some people, but it brings alumni, brings community members to our campus. They learn more about the university. And let's face it, athletics brings a sense of pride, a spirit, not just to the university, but to the entire community. So I think it's an important element. At the Division II level, we're in a very competitive conference, and I've certainly, followed the successes of Missouri Southern athletics, the strength in basketball, track, cross country, in those areas. And when I talk about athletics, including to our coaches, my philosophy on that is we want to be competitive in every sport. That's important. However, it's also important that we focus on the success of our student athletes to help them be retained, graduate, go on to successful lives and careers, and to do it in a way that has great integrity. So it's both of those elements, competitiveness with doing things the right way. I can tell you that one of my favorite books is Quiet Strength by Tony Dungy. And if you read that book, yes, it's about football, but really it's more about character and doing things the right way. And that's kind of my philosophy when I think about athletics. That said, I'm really excited to attend some athletics events, and both men's and women's. I'm a strong believer in Title IX and opportunities for both men and women. And during my interview, I said, you will just as likely find me at a women's basketball game as a men's, because I want to support all of our student athletes. I think that's important.
We're talking with the 6th president in Missouri Southern State University history, Dr. Dean Van Galen. I think you got this question during your town hall, during your interview. But if you had the power to change one thing in higher education, or maybe a couple things, what would you change about higher ed?
I do remember that question. So, and I remember how I answered it, but then I'll add one more idea as well. When I answered it, I talked about silos that can exist in any organization, but sometimes exist at universities, whether it be colleges or departments or units. And I just have found over time, and I believe that the university needs to be a community that works together towards one goal. And that is just part of my philosophy, and one that I'll try to promote here. It's not a us and them, it is a us, truly, as a campus, and I would extend that to our alumni as well. One community, one family. The other aspect that I would change, I suppose, if I had the ability to do so, was to somehow break down the financial barriers that many students face in attending and completing college. I mean, a college experience, a college degree, changes people's lives. It's interesting, earlier there was a question about, and I think you made a comment, Kevin, about the value of higher education. If you look at the data, an individual on average with a college degree compared to a high school diploma over their lifetime will make about $1 million more. They're much more likely to be employed. They're also much more likely to volunteer and be involved in the community. Now, when I say that, I always put a caveat out there. That doesn't make a college graduate better than a high school graduate at all. My parents, as I mentioned, attended through the 8th and 10th grade, wonderful people. But my point is that education, higher education, can really lift people up and change the course of their lives. And it's unfortunate that financial barriers for some students stand in the way. And so if there'd be some way to address that more fully, I think that would be wonderful.
Are there any parting thoughts that you've got for our alums? I don't see any other questions coming in from the alumni base right now. We appreciate everybody tuning in today, and those that sent in questions ahead of time and sent them in as we've been here with Dr. Van Galen. But any other parting thoughts you've got for the alums?
Well, Kevin, I'll just echo what you said, gratitude for the alumni who've joined today and the questions. I really look forward to getting to know many of you. Missouri Southern is a success story. It's going through a challenging time now, as is every university, but I really believe Missouri Southern has a bright future, and I'm very excited to be part of that. So thank you, everyone.
Appreciate your time today. Thank you. That's Dr. Dean Van Galen. He is the sixth president in Missouri Southern State University history. For those of you watching today, we encourage you to keep updating your contact information on our alumni website. Hope you're getting Crossroads magazines. Hope you're getting our email communication as well throughout the year, and just encourage you to encourage your friends to update their contact information as well, so we can stay in touch with the Missouri Southern alumni base. We do appreciate you tuning in today. Thank you for joining us, and go Lions.